All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. The return of Zaylin Wood makes Vandy's defensive line way more explosive. I'm excited about it. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, man, I'm excited. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about you everydayers. You guys are making this thing happen. You guys have been so awesome for the show. So amazing. I appreciate it every single day. So, speaking of today we're going to look at the upcoming late afternoon tip versus South Carolina. Can the Dores get back on track? What do they need to do? Is it too early to discuss baseball at Vandy? It's never too soon. And most importantly, the defensive front seven got a boost today because Zaylin Wood returning gives them a pop up front. So here's why I love this, okay? Because Zaylin Wood was such a force at MTSU. He comes in for his grad year. He has 1 year eligibility, has 1 year to kind of really prove at the top level he can get it done on the pass rush. Well, here's the thing. He got hurt. And what little reps he did get before his injury that kept him out the whole season, he had probably one of the worst ankle injuries I've ever seen. It started out as like, it's just a sprain. He'll be okay. And then surely he's due back, and he just kept re-aggravating it. I know he was frustrated. I was frustrated for him. I know what that's like, as a player, and God did not bless me with talent to put me as a Division I college football player. Unfortunately, I probably mentally would have been able to handle it, but physically I'm just not there, and that's okay. But as a high school player, I did have a nagging ankle injury that lasted me the entire season. It was awful. Luckily it probably wasn't as bad as Zaylin Wood, and his injury is probably way worse than mine, but I can't imagine, like, if it hurt me that bad and it was a sprain all year, it gets stiff, when it rains and it's cold. Like, that injury is terrible. Okay. But why does he give us a boost? Okay, that's the original point. He makes his defensive line more explosive. The little reps he did get before I got off on that tangent, the few reps that he did get, what we did see of him was amazing. Against Virginia Tech, he was all over the place. He was making plays left and right. I felt like at times you couldn't block him. He's a versatile guy. If you want to go 4 down fronts, he can jump down to a 3 technique. He can play the 4. He could play the 5 even if you wanted to go some bigger 4-man sets where you have 2 behemoths on the inside and him and Sidnor on the outsides. He's a very versatile defensive lineman, and I really think Clark Lee values that because he moves those guys around. He wants athletic people in those positions. He wants guys that can shoot gaps, that can wreak havoc, that can win one-on-ones, that can split double teams, that can command double teams, that can command chips from the tight end or the back to disrupt their timing in the passing game because, teams like to get the ball out to their tight ends and teams like to get the ball out to the backs if they can in the passing game because there's some things you can do with the running back in the passing game that makes pass protection almost not irrelevant, but you know what I mean? It kind of makes it a lot easier for those guys to pass pro because that ball's out. So anything he can do to disrupt the timing of the opposing team's passing game is a major, major plus because football is becoming a passing sport. He's good enough against the run as well that he's a 3-down player. He's somebody that can, you can use in a bunch of different defensive packages. And I really like the way Clark Lee uses his defensive linemen. I just wish last year he had more of them, right? And that's a position, defense and offensive lines are 2 positions that you can never really have too many. And I wish if they'd had like 2, if Zaylin Wood would have been healthy even last year, I think you probably have a better shot it's probably a tighter game with LSU, and you have a better shot of getting over the hump. There's some plays against South Carolina made that I think if you have a healthier, less beat up rotation, and you have some guys that are able to be fresher, I think they don't rattle off 28 points, and I think that game goes a little bit differently. I don't know about winning it, but it does go a little bit differently. And so having those healthy bodies there, getting Zaylin Wood back is like getting a transfer portal guy from the defensive line. You saw limited reps of him, and you expected him to be gone. He wasn't going to be part of the roster. He got his waiver. I think everybody was kind of confident, so they were kind of like penciling him in, like, he's gonna get his hardship waiver, so it's all good. But I think getting him officially, it's kind of like Stowers. Everyone knew Stowers was coming back. Everybody knew it, but he hadn't made it official yet. I think he was still thinking about some things, but we all knew he was coming back. Him and Pavi are best friends, and he needs another year of seasoning, maybe another year of weight room and training that he can get an elite level to get ready for the NFL. And what's one more year? You're making good NIL money now. What's one more year playing with your best friend, right? Zaylin Wood, we all know he wanted to come back. He didn't think he could. And then when you get him back, it's like that surprise, like you didn't think you were getting it, but you were sort of, you were like, okay, I might get this. I have a good chance. Like, I think I'm going to get this. Right. It's like you're at work and you're like, I think I'm going to get a raise, but I'm not sure. It's probably unlikely. It's kind of a long shot. I think I'm going to get it. And then your boss knocks on your door and says, hey, we're going to give you that raise. And you get all excited because you weren't counting on it. You were sort of expecting it. You were hopeful, probably more on the hopeful side than expecting it. But deep down, you were like, I'm getting this raise. Like, I know I'm getting this raise. Like, I know this deep, Clark Lee's like, I know we're getting Zaylin Wood back. He's probably, that was his inner dialogue. I know we're getting him back. I'm going to factor him in, but I'm going to factor him in pencil down here at the bottom because I'm not real sure. Right? That was the inner dialogue. And then he comes back and you're like, yes. And it's like getting a new transfer. It's that kind of excitement, except it doesn't get publicized as much. But, I think he's excited about it. This defense is excited about it. He seems like a great teammate. Seems like everybody's kind of excited about him coming back. So his skill set speaks for itself. I mean, just go back and watch the episode when he committed, and I break him down against Virginia Tech and the time he had before he got hurt. I think he's shown enough good reps to where you're like, this dude's going to be, he's going to be special for this team. Like you get him in a rotation and you have him coming in, Linus Zunk coming in, Corday Sidnor coming at you, Otara, Seabrook, Avery, and you have some dudes there, right? And you could get creative with some of these edge rusher guys like Coat. You could bump him down into an overfront and go 4 down. And have Coat as like your stand-up defensive end. Like you can do some creative things now because you've got some athleticism, you've got some power, you've got some speed across the line. And to me, it's what you want, philosophy-wise. It's how you want to construct this defense. It's how you want to play up front. Because teams, I think as the season wore on, teams were able to have more and more success running the ball. I think teams early on struggled because they did have a good rotation and they still were relatively healthy, but that position takes a beating, right? It's just such a physically demanding position. Same with offensive line. Both of those units ran completely out of gas. And I think that's going to be a point of emphasis in the weight room, first of all. Second of all, I think you've got to have a good rotation of guys that you can get in and say, okay, you go play this series and there's not a drop-off, right? It's not like going from Corday Sidnor to me playing defensive end, right? There's not that drop-off. There wasn't that drop-off last year, but you get the point. Like you have quality guys that can come in and really do some things against the run and against the pass. You can get, I think having a deeper unit allows a little bit more creativity from Clark Lee. I think it allows him to do more movement. I think it allows him to kind of do what he wants with his front guys. And and you might have a chance. I don't think you should ever be in a situation where you're only rushing 3, because 5-on-3 is just you're rarely going to win those. But I think in a 4-down front, I think if you want to drop a lot of people, I still think you have a really good. I think you still have a really good unit with rushing 4. I think you have some guys that can win that, especially if you put some speed guys on the edges and just say, go. Right. I think you have better guys to be able to do that. And you may see some more 4-down fronts in passing situations where he brings those speed guys off the edge and say, okay, block him. Keanu Coates over there. Miles Capers is over there. And you got Sidnor and Zaylin Wood on the inside. Yeah, block those guys. Please do it. At your own peril, of course. But block those guys. Let's see how that works out for you. And that's kind of good. That's kind of a good feeling to have as a defense coordinator, when you know that, hey, I've got some different lineups I can throw out there and say, hey, try to run on that, please, by all means, try to run on that line. And it's like Otara, Seabrooks, Aaron Bryant, and Sidnor across the front, and you have Patterson and Longwell as your linebackers, and maybe even you throw one of your bigger, more physical star players close to the line of scrimmage if they bounce it. Yeah, good luck running on that. Have at it. And that's weird to say, because like Vandy's never been able to say that, but I think, you're starting to get into scenarios where you can say that a little bit, and that's new territory for Vandy people. It's like I'm a good luck charm or something. But anyway, Stephen Hubbard, Big Glow. I'm gonna call him Big Glow. Hubbard. He's going to the NFL. He declared. I thought he was coming back, but I made a graphic. I said, hey, he's not going to – Isaiah Glass is not going to wear 54, but I did a jersey swap. Maybe I don't know. 54 is available now. I'll tell you what. Next. All right, WayFair. After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little TLC. I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space helps me get back into a routine. I just don't look on the other side of this camera, and you'll see that I need some decluttering and refreshing. So whether you're tidying up, clearing out, or just want your space a new look to start the year, WayFair has everything you need, all within your budget. So I'm currently looking for furniture and entertainment centers, really, and their huge selection makes it easy to find pieces that fit my style and budget. My favorite part, the free and hassle-free delivery, even for larger items. WayFair site is so easy to navigate. I found everything I needed to in no time at all. There's something for every style and every home, no matter your space or budget. WayFair makes it easier to tackle your New Year's home goals with endless inspiration for every space. And you can answer, and when you kind of go into this thing, like you have to be like, all right, what's my decor style? What am I looking for, right? WayFair has just about everything to fit that need. Why did I pick these? What do I love about it? Did WayFair help you in a time crunch? Is the delivery free? Is it hassle free? Like, those are things like that I think WayFair touches on, and I think they do help you out in a time crunch, because it is hassle free. It is a free delivery as well, so that kind of helps knock down the price. But the entertainment center I got was really, really good. And I think you'll enjoy what you get. I got a dresser too for my son, and that was a good piece of furniture as well. So give your home the refresh it needs with WayFair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WayFair.com. WayFair, every style and every home. Speaking of refreshing, why don't you refresh your spinal cord by going to the Joint Chiropractic? They have over 900 locations nationwide. They have great people there to get a customized plan for your health and wellness. They'll get your spinal cord in order. They'll get your joints popping. You go get cracked, man, you float right on out of there. You feel really good. You feel really aligned. Like, for a long time, and I need to go back because I got a little stress on me, but for a long time, I couldn't look much past here. Now I can almost go completely sideways with my neck, thanks to the joint. They made me feel better. Dr. Nolan, phenomenal. So make sure you visit over 900 locations. Make sure you visit one nearest you. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC is the place to go. Chris Gordy, phenomenal. And our squad shows, absolutely insane. And they get better and better every time. And the further we get away from football season, probably the more off the rails they're going to get. And I love it. And you will too. And also, if you get a chance, if you want to go really outside the box in the college football world, make sure you check out my friend JT over at Locked On Utes. I did an appearance with him talking about Nate Johnson and what I thought he could do for Utah's program. So go check out JT, man. He does a great job there. And Utah is like one of my favorite teams outside of the SEC. I just kind of like rooting for him. I kind of just like watching him. I like Kyle Whittingham. So JT's a great dude. Had me on a show, and you should go check that out. But anyway, so before we get into hoops and what needs to happen against South Carolina, old Big Glow, man, I was disappointed. I thought he was coming back, but honestly, I don't blame him. He's going to the NFL, and he will make a lot of money in the NFL, and he is going to thrive. I don't know if he's being projected as a guard or a tackle, but at 6'4", probably a guard. But I think, he has the potential to have a really good long career in the NFL. And I certainly don't blame him for leaving. I'm happy for him. I wish he would have stayed one more year and really just kind of bolstered this offensive line and gave some mentorship there. He probably could have had a nice audition for a left tackle for the league, because I think Shazia Pete, from what I'm hearing, I think Michigan's a tough team to beat. But until he signs, Diego Pavia is working his magic, and I've learned not to go against Diego Pavia magic. So until he signs officially, I still think Pete's coming. But yeah, Hubbard going to the NFL. I think he'll fit in really, really well. We'll see where he gets drafted, and maybe he'll have a good career there, and I'm excited for him. And what does that do for the offensive line? Well, nothing really, because they didn't expect to have him back anyway, so they didn't have any big plans to have Hubbard in the lineup, so it's not like he's leaving a glaring hole that they didn't already know about. I mean, he leaves a big hole. I think, he's going to be missed, but we were going to say that regardless, because he wasn't supposed to come back. And he got that 5th year, gave him something to think about, but ultimately I think his mind was made up. He was going to the NFL. So I think you just roll on as you were planning on. Nothing changes in that regard, because, again, it's not like he declared early out of nowhere. And it's not like you expected to have him, because he was out of eligibility until Diego Pavia won his court case. So not surprised. Happy for him. Very happy for him. And I hope he does well. And that's going to be – it's going to be fun to watch. I hope the Falcons draft him. So that would be – they need some offensive linemen. So, Big Glow is out there, 54. That jersey number is available now. So Isaiah Glass, if you're listening to this show, I know you liked and you responded to the graphic I made for you. 54 is now open. If you actually want to wear that number, you can make my graphic like completely relevant by choosing number 54. Just an idea. I don't know if you're thinking about that, but 72 just doesn't look good on you. 54 is the perfect number for you. You can already see what you would look like in 54. So there you go. But let's talk basketball. Okay. Let's talk basketball. We'll bleed this over to the third segment and maybe get a little baseball. Okay. All right. So basketball, what needs to happen? Okay. This team's on a skid right now. And what worries me about this team? Okay. And I know it's early, step off the ledge, third eye blind style. But what's concerning, at least for this year, and this is a problem they need, hopefully someone's identified and they understand that they need to fix this. They need to address this in their roster reshuffle at the end of the year. They need to get bigger. They need to get a 7-footer, 6'11" guy, 7-footer. They need to get a presence in the paint. Okay. Of all the things they have, they're great. They're a great running team. They're great at getting to the rim. They're okay shooting from the field, abysmal shooting from three-point land, which they need to get a shooter and a big man. That's the two things they need to get. They need to get a 7-footer and somebody who can drain it from the arc, right? Get those two things, and I think your team, the landscape of your team changes drastically. Now, don't get some like paint clogger big man that can't run because it doesn't fit your style. And I don't know why you didn't get those big guys because you want to run. I get it, but you got to get a big guy. There's plenty of athletic ones out there. Asa Sewell at Georgia, he's good. There's a lot of athletic big guys out there that can run, that can shoot. Go get you a European guy, right? That wants to somehow play college basketball. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, get you an athletic guy that can shoot, that can run at least, to patrol the paint. Get you a shooter, and then get all the runners you want. Get all the drivers you want. Get all the slashers you want. Go get you a Rodman style player that does nothing but just run and disrupt and play defense and rebound. Get a big guy to patrol the paint. Get a 3-point shooter and get a couple scores to man your starting five, and get some guys that can back those guys up, and just go. You'll be a totally different team, and that's what they sorely lack. And I'll tell you what worries me specifically about this matchup, and what specifically needs to happen. We'll talk about that next. Rocket Money. Hey, speaking of Rocket Money, did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about that you were paying for twice? Well, that definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. And guess what? Rocket Money made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or your goals that you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million. I could use a few dollars of that in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. So for me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I use it to cancel services that I wasn't using anymore, and I saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Again, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, we wrap up the show here, Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. Check it out. Check out the show. Check out the social media. Like, subscribe if this is your first time. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Pass it along. Let's grow this thing. I'm almost at 600. All right? And it's not even the end of January. So by the end of January, let's get above the 600 mark. And even if you're just a fan passing by from another school, go ahead and click subscribe. It won't hurt you. And then every once in a while, you'll get those notifications and you'll be like, oh, that's a cool show. Or, hey, let me look at Vandy, right? So just subscribe. It'd be well worth it. All right. So hoops, South Carolina. So this is an important game for Vandy, okay? Because guess who's next up on the schedule? Tennessee. It's not an easy game because Tennessee is good at the basketball. So South Carolina is not good at the basketball currently. And Vandy has a chance to take advantage of that and get back on track, because for this season, we knew it was going to be kind of an adjustment season. Brand new roster, brand new coach, brand new philosophy. Those expectations elevated a little bit because of your non-conference record of 13-1, which actually 12-1. Which I think elevated things to a level to where maybe some realistic expectations were not quite on the table after a 12-1 start, which I get it. You're excited. But what you have to realize is that the SEC is a league that has size and speed. And Vandy is not a team that matches that right now. And so I think you have to, first of all, you have to temper your expectations, get your wins where you can, and just look to find – this year is always going to be a diagnostic year, okay? What does this Vandy team need to do? We got a new philosophy. We like the new philosophy. The new philosophy has shown that it is capable of winning. But now what you're seeing in conference play is the other team's punching holes in this philosophy and saying, okay, here's your holes. And I don't think I don't think it's ripped to shreds. I think some people think that, hey, we lost 2 games, and this whole philosophy is ripped to shreds. It's not, because this team is tough. They're resilient. They're competitive. And no scheme in America can coach that. That's recruiting. That's culture. That's guys believing in Coach Byington, right? That's a great thing. And you should have got blown out against Missouri. You go down 14-2 to start the game. That game should have been long gone. And last year would have been long gone, right? You get in a game with Mississippi State, who, honestly, you're just overmatched. And you hung tight. Like, you should, I know moral victories aren't a thing, and I certainly don't want to start that, but there's some qualities here that I really like about this basketball team that didn't exist last season. And so you need to capitalize off that. You need to win on grit. It's like any new coach that comes in to anywhere has to establish things, right? And a lot of times it's bad. Sometimes it's horrendous. Sometimes it's like, hey, we're good here, bad here, and you have a couple of results that don't go your way, and sometimes it's the record looks terrible, but you go and look at the games and investigate the games, and you're like, okay, well, hell, if we were better at this, and this, we win this game. And those things are very, very fixable in Vandy's case. Some teams, the this, and this is like, yeah, okay, all right, well, yeah, if I'd have done this and this and this, I'd have been a billionaire married to a supermodel. But I'm nowhere near that. So for Vandy's sake, they're very, very close, and they're competitive, and they can win. They just need a couple of pieces. They need to find ways to shoot better. They need to find ways to overcome their size difference, because it's most teams they play against are bigger and stronger, especially in the paint, and they need to quit building brick houses from behind the arc, right? They're going to be the bricklayers. That's what Vandy's going to be here. So this is going to be an intriguing game. This is going to be a game to really just see, where is Vandy? Where are they? Okay, where are they in the world of college basketball? How does this? They're sitting at 13-3, so all is not lost. Right, you still have a really good record. You're 1-2. You have a chance to get to 2-2 in the conference against a team that has gotten obliterated since conference play has started with South Carolina. And it's again, it's one that you kind of just have to find ways to be better shooting. Right, you have to take advantage of those wide open looks. Get your wins where you can. Hit the wide open looks, and you will be just fine. I think Vandy does win this one. I don't think it's a blowout, but I do think Vandy does win this one. And I think you got some reprieve coming with Tennessee coming up on the schedule. And you just work on things, find ways to score, find ways to take advantage of what defenses are going to give you, which they're going to give you the arc. Take advantage. If they do, they'll be successful. If they don't, they won't. And they need to find ways to make up for their lack of presence in the paint, which until next season, when they recruit, hopefully, somebody, they'll just have to figure it out from between now and then. But lastly, before I let you go, baseball. Yeah, guess what? It's never too early to talk baseball, right? Never too early. Speaking of which, Tyler Tanner and Grant Huffman are listed as questionable on the availability report. They were full participants last week, but they're questionable, which I think they'll end up playing. So there you go. So here's the thing, okay? Tim Corbin made some staff changes, okay, recruiting wise, and with hitting coach and pitching coach, and they were much needed, okay. And this Vandy team they were good, but oftentimes they're just kind of dry, and they just kind of right. And for long stretches of time, the bats were non-existent, and the pitching just couldn't hold up. And you had a few injuries, you had a few things, but for the most part, you couldn't get any run support. You couldn't get like in the era of ping, in the sport of ping, you have to get runs. You have to score. You have to score. And you have to hit the ball. And they're not hitting the ball. And so pitching can only hold up for so long, and they just couldn't do it. And then on the off chance that in the sport of baseball, pitchers every once in a while, I know this is crazy, but they have bad outings where they just don't have their best stuff. And if you can't support them with runs, it's going to be a struggle. So, but yeah, I'm interested to see how the staff changes take effect. I'm interested to see how Tim Corbin, how he handles NIL moving forward. I know he's going to want to be competitive, so you kind of have to do it, right? So I'm kind of interested in that. But that's my very short baseball preview. More to come on baseball as we inch closer to that season. I'm excited to see kind of how they bounce back. I think they can, because they're still a pretty good team talent wise. They just hadn't been able to take advantage of it, and little things beat them. So we'll see. We'll see how the season goes. But until then, enjoy the game. If you're going to the game, be careful. But enjoy the late afternoon tip. We'll see you back here. Probably stay tuned. I might actually, it won't be till a little bit later after the game, but I might go live, do a little bit of a late night Wednesday night live. So if you're around, if you're still up and you want to catch it, by all means, join the show. But that's going to do it. Locked on Vandy. We'll see you here next time. Peace. Anchor down.